In a distant corner of the world, hidden from the eyes of the world's maps, there existed a realm known as the Land of the Forgotten. It was a place so steeped in sorrow and despair that even the sun seemed to hesitate before shining upon it. The clouds that hovered above the city were heavy with grief, and the people who lived there had forgotten what it meant to smile. The city was ruled by a king known as the Sad King. His heart was a mirror of the city itself, dark, empty, and perpetually weighed down by an invisible burden. The king, once full of dreams and ambitions, had lost all joy over the years. His reign was a reflection of his own sadness. The people wandered the streets like shadows, their faces as blank as the sky above. No one in the land of the forgotten had purpose. They lived, but they did not truly exist. The town had become a place of endless monotony where hope had long ago been abandoned. But change was coming, though no one could have foreseen it. One fateful day, as the clouds swirled ominously in the sky, a strange event occurred. A girl, not from the land, fell from the heavens above. She descended like a shooting star, landing with a soft thud in the center of the forsaken city. The people of the land, who had never known wonder, were startled by the appearance of this unfamiliar being. At first, the girl was disoriented. She had not planned on falling from the sky. This was an accident, an odd twist of fate. But as she stood up and looked around, something inside her stirred. She was not like the people she saw before her. She was not bound by the despair that had taken root in this place. There was something different about her, something that no one could ignore. The girl, though young, was filled with a quiet wisdom and an innate kindness that could not be quelled by the sorrow of her surroundings. Her eyes sparkled with a light that made others feel warm in their hearts, and her smile was like a gentle breeze on a hot day. She didn't know why she had come to the land of the forgotten, but she knew that she could not simply allow herself to sink into the same sorrow that gripped everyone else. From the moment she began interacting with the people of the land, something began to shift. She helped them, spoke to them with patience and empathy, and offered them a love they had not known in years. She helped mend broken homes, repaired shattered spirits, and above all, showed the people that they were not forgotten, that they were still worthy of happiness. As the girl grew older, so did her influence. She was a beacon of hope in a sea of despair. The people, once so withdrawn, began to gather around her. She would sit with them, listen to their stories, and remind them of the simple joys of life. They had forgotten what it was like to feel warmth, but she reminded them that warmth could still be found even in the coldest of places. By the time the girl turned 18, the entire city seemed to revolve around her. The once barren streets were now filled with color. Flowers bloomed where there had been none, and laughter echoed where silence once reigned. People began to work together, rebuild their homes, and find a renewed sense of purpose. Even the king, cloaked in his endless sorrow, took notice of the changes. But while the people found joy in the girl's presence, the king's heart grew heavy with fear. He had ruled the land for so long, and the idea of someone else becoming the symbol of hope and happiness unnerved him. His heart was already fragile, and the thought of losing his power to a young girl frightened him. He feared that she would take his throne, that the people would abandon him for her. The king, desperate to regain control, ordered his guards to bring the girl to him. When she arrived at the palace, he studied her closely, expecting to see ambition in her eyes. But to his surprise, he saw nothing but kindness. She had no desire for power or fame. She only wanted to help. The girl explained that she had no intention of taking the king's place. She only wished to see the people of the land happy again, to see them alive with purpose. The king, though still wary, found himself drawn to the girl's purity. Her gentle nature worked its way into his heart, and he began to change. The sadness that had long consumed him slowly began to lift. For the first time in many years, he found himself smiling. He had not realized how much he had needed her presence until now. The king asked the girl to stay with him in the palace for 10 days. During those days, she lived alongside him and his court. Her presence brought a warmth to the cold palace, and the people of the court, who had once been as despondent as the rest of the kingdom, began to find joy once more. Even the king's advisors, who had once been consumed with the weight of their responsibilities, began to laugh and talk with each other as they had not done in years. But as the 10th day approached, the king realized something that filled his heart with dread. He had fallen in love with the girl. Her kindness, her beauty, and the hope she brought had awakened something deep within him. He could not bear the thought of losing her. On the eve of her 19th birthday, the king made up his mind. He would confess his feelings and ask her to marry him, to rule the kingdom together. But just as the king was about to speak the words he had long kept hidden, the skies grew dark once more. A great wind swept through the palace, and a figure appeared in the sky. A glowing angel, her wings radiant against the clouds. The angel spoke to the girl. "Your time here is up," she said gently. "You did not belong in this place. You were only meant to stay for a while, to remind the people of love and hope. Now it is time for you to return to where you truly belong." The king's heart shattered as he heard these words. He fell to his knees, begging the angel to allow the girl to stay. "She has changed everything," he said, his voice breaking. "Please don't take her away. The land needs her. I need her." But the angel shook her head. "There are rules, my king," she said softly. "Every soul has its purpose, and this girl has fulfilled hers here." it is time for her to return to her true home. The girl, though her heart ached, knew that she couldn't stay. She had come to the land of the forgotten by accident, but she had given it everything she could. She took the angel's hand, and together they ascended into the sky, leaving behind the land that had once been lost in sorrow. The king was left alone in the palace, his heart heavy with grief. The entire kingdom mourned her loss. The streets, once filled with color and life, faded back into gray. The people of the land who had found purpose through the girl's presence once again became lifeless and empty. The king's heart, which had once been bright, was once again shrouded in darkness. But the king was determined not to let the girl's efforts be in vain. He could not let everything she had built be lost to time. He ordered a grand statue to be made in the center of the city, a statue that would forever remember her kindness, her love, and the joy she had brought to the land of the forgotten. He called the people together and addressed them. "We cannot let her memory fade," he said, his voice filled with both sorrow and resolve. "She showed us the power of love and hope. She reminded us that we are not forgotten. We must carry on her work. We must love, help, and live with kindness. Let us make sure that her spirit remains alive within us." The people, moved by the king's words, promised to follow his lead. They worked together, rebuilding the city, not just with their hands, but with their hearts. Slowly, the land of the forgotten began to come back to life. The sadness that once consumed the people was replaced with a quiet joy. The king, no longer sad but full of purpose, led them with the same kindness that the girl had shown him. And though the girl was gone, her memory lived on in the hearts of the people. They found their purpose, and they would never forget the love she had brought into their lives. The city, once forgotten, now shone brighter than ever before. And the end of our today's fairy tale. Thank you everyone for watching this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe my channel. See you next time everyone. Bye bye.